Hello. Yes, Mercury did raise $300 million on basically more than double what their valuation was previously. Why am I talking about that? Well, it's very similar to the Ampere situation last week, where I talked about Ampere getting acquired for $6.5 billion by SoftBank Group. This announcement is very similar to that. I want to get into that, but I also wanted to really quickly just touch on. I got some comments from a viewer, listener person, you out there in the audience. Someone was kind enough to provide feedback where, like, dude, you talk really slow. Just speed up your talking. I like your content, but you talk so slowly. And I'm sorry, I'm old. This is the speed at which I talk. So here's my pro tip. Really appreciate the feedback. I don't want to discount that. I really appreciate somebody taking the time to say both that they liked the stuff that I'm doing here, as well as the constructive criticism about I'm too slow. But this is my advice: 2x. Like 2x works on YouTube, 2x works on the podcast. Just dial me up to 2x. I can't even stand myself in less than 2x. So sorry I speak so slowly. Sorry it takes me so long to formulate. My brain is old. It doesn't process very quickly. I equate it to the processor speed of a TRS-80. So that's what it is. But I just wanted to touch on that quickly at the front because I did really value that feedback. And if you have similar feedback, critical, negative, positive, otherwise, I would love to hear it. So please just let me know. Anyway, back to Mercury. So Mercury, as you may remember, is a startup banking platform, a banking platform designed specifically with startups in mind. Saw its biggest kind of influx of users after the Silicon Valley Bank situation, which happened a few years back. And but the compelling platform and obviously compelling to investors, given that they just raised another $300 million at a $3.5 billion valuation. But again, why am I talking about it? Because they have a footprint here in Portland. And I've talked about this with you several times. I don't think we've come to a decent conclusion. What even is a Portland company anymore? Pre-pandemic, it was very easy to say, oh, is the company headquartered here? Are the bulk of their employees here? Are they a Portland company? Do they posture as a Portland company? Do they claim to be a Portland company? That Intel thing was always kind of confusing. Like, more Intel employees in the Portland region than anywhere on Earth, even though they're headquartered in the Bay Area. So that one always still threw me. But for the most part, people would say we are a Portland company. Now, in the after times, we have any number of people here who are working remotely for a company headquartered elsewhere. You know, some of their execs live here, but others don't. They are founded somewhere else, but the bulk of their employees are here. So I don't know. I'm not being as hard and fast on what a Portland company is. I am trying to focus on companies, startups, what have you, that may have a positive impact on our community as a whole. And Mercury is definitely one of those. And that was also validated by some of my LinkedIn comments when I mentioned the raise. People chimed in with yeah, they've got some really good people here in Portland. So there you go. I mean, I personally know a Pi mentor who works at Mercury now, and he's solid, and I always appreciate his feedback and insights. So I have to imagine there are other team members like him here in town. So congratulations to Mercury on the $300 million raise. I'm hoping we see some positive impact from that in Portland. But nonetheless, as someone interested in startups in the Portland area, Mercury is a great platform for banking for startups. So you should know about it just for that alone. Okay, we've got this April 8th event coming up. If you haven't RSVP'd yet, please do. Please submit your RSVP. Not a lot of structure to this one. This is a Portland startup community gathering where, the Metro Region Innovation Hub, Prosper Portland, OEN, TIE, AI Portland, Rose City Techies. I'm going to be missing some people. Pitch Black, Vanport Studios, Latino Founders, Built, Pie, Silicon Florist. All kinds of us just get together and we're like, why don't we get everybody together and just hang out? And with like, for me, it hadn't really crystallized until the event happened. But really what the event is to me is, when you go to like a big event, like maybe you just were at South by or GTC or Web Summit or Mobile World Congress or one of those where they're like the big events, and then there's like either the side party or like the after party or the weird gathering where it's associated with the event, but it's not really tied to the event activity. It's just a gathering for people who happen to be in the same place at the same time. That's the vibe for the April 8th event. I would love to see you there. Last time we had about 400 people. Last time I checked, the RSVPs was about 540 people had RSVP'd. We still have space for more. Please RSVP. It would be great to see you there. But I did want to let you in behind the scenes a little bit because I just barely announced that it will be at Irving Street Studio, which is in the Pearl in the Eco Trust building. There's like a Hot Lips there, and right there, right near the old post office place. So fairly centrally located. You can come over Broadway Bridge and be right there. You can come over the I-5 bridge, 405, be right there. So hopefully it helps people get to the location more easily, no matter where you're coming from. I was trying to find something more centrally located, but I have to let you in behind the scenes on a secret. And as an event planner, like sometimes you come up with these grand concepts that you think are so great and you just can't get them over the finish line no matter how hard you try. I really tried for you. I was so sold on this idea. My co-organizers were helping and we were all trying to make this happen, and it just didn't come to fruition. And I thought it could have been a much bigger event than, we will have a cap. So, the RSVPs will sell out pretty quickly. The event is totally free. So just show up. It's free. The concept I was working on as somebody from Generation X, a lot of my childhood, a lot of my socialization revolved around malls. Like you would go to the mall, you would just hang out, you'd meet friends, you'd run into people you didn't know. The mall was a place for that social networking in the pre-internet and pre-web days and pre-web 2.0 and social media and all that kind of stuff. The mall was the thing. So it dawned on me, if only we had a dead mall in the exact middle of the city that we could use to do this old school social networking 80s, 90s style. And so we tried to secure the Lloyd Center Mall to do a big gathering, but we couldn't make it happen. They could only find space enough for us to do like 250 people. And that was not going to fly. So I'm going to get there though. We're going to make this mall thing happen, and we'll all get to meet in the mall, and you can wear your parachute pants and your OP shirt and your Vans. I don't know, whatever. But I'm still going to try and make Lloyd Center or another mall happen where we just kind of take over the mall and you can wander up and down the hallways and meet people and things and stuff, or some other creative way to engage you, because you deserve it. The community deserves it. We need to get creative about this stuff. I get so tired of rebooting the same thing over and over and like trying to like nostalgically dredge up something that worked previously, but this modern generation of folks in town have no context. They don't understand that. They don't understand why we're nostalgic about it. And so I'm trying to come up with new formats, collaborating with people to inspire new ways of thinking about bringing community together. And so The April 8th event will not be happening in a mall, but it will be happening in a really interesting place in the EcoTrust building. And thanks to EcoTrust for allowing us to use the space. I'm really excited. I've never had the opportunity to do an event in this space before, but I've looked at it several times. So I will be happy to hear your feedback on what you think about the venue. And if you're a person who programs events, hopefully this gets you an opportunity to see how that space can be activated. I'm disappointed about Lloyd Center. I won't lie. I was really, really hopeful for that idea, but this will still be great. Still be a lot of amazing people. Again, opportunity to run into people that you might not know. If you're new to town, hundreds of people you can connect with from the Portland startup community, and hopefully just a good time will be had by all. And I look forward to seeing you on April 8th at Irving Street Studio. And other stuff's already in the works. So for our July 1, we've already secured the venue. So we're doing these big networking events quarterly. So April, the next one will be July. July 1, I don't want to reveal too much, but the theme is Cookout. So come to the April 8th one, see how amazing it is, meet a lot of really great people, and then you can sign up for the July one and join us for a bit of a cookout. I think you'll like it. Anyway, enough about that. Hope to see you April 8th. Sorry I couldn't secure Lloyd Center Mall for you, but I'm still working on it. We will still figure it out, and I hope to see you at one of the future events. We're also starting to work on our May event, which will be a more intimate event, again, along the lines of the kind of Where Are They Now startup founder events that are more intimate fireside chats. And we've already got our host lined up and all that stuff, so hope to catch you at one of our upcoming events. It would be great to see you there. Of course, I'll link it up. It's the Pi and Portland Startup Community Meetup group, which is the best way to keep tabs on that kind of stuff. Okay, cool. Speaking of innovative events that get the community together in new and interesting ways, you may remember a couple of weeks back, I went on a bit of a rant about pitch competitions, and I've tried to reflect, think about how I could be more constructive and not as whiny and not as complainy. And I'm working on that. And that's work I have to do with me. I have to do the work, and I'm working on it. But I just wanted you to remember that one slight caveat of that rant was, with the exception of Pitch Black and Pitch Latino. And why did I focus on those events specifically? Because they were pitch events that really value a founder's time for their participation. With Pitch Black and Pitch Latino, everyone who takes the stage gets some capital of some sort. They still have a winner, there's still a competition, but everyone is rewarded financially for taking the time to participate. And that's all I'm saying. That's all my rant was based on, is just it's hard enough being a founder. You lack so much time and so much energy as a founder. It's so draining that asking them to do yet another thing that may or may not directly benefit them, that's always a challenge for founders. So events that like Pitch Black, Pitch Latino, that at least provide some financial compensation for founders participating in their programs, hugely valuable. Events where they provide pitch training or they provide ancillary services to the companies that are participating, those are also great. The founders are getting other value out of it. If it's a pitch competition at a larger event where the founder and their team get free access to a larger event that they might not otherwise be able to afford, that's great too. So all that being said, this will explain why I'm happy to announce this next event. Tom Sollett, who runs Asian American Town, you may have experienced one of his activations, which is Legendary Makers Market, which is just the largest Asian market pop-up experience thing in the Pacific Northwest, if not the West, if not the United States. It's an amazing gathering that really brings the Asian American community together with both vendors and people who make products, and the community itself getting to experience that. Tom, for a while, has been talking about, look, we got a pitch black for the black folks in Portland. We've got a pitch Latino for the Latino folks in not only in Oregon, but Juan has taken that to Tri-Cities and Seattle and all over the place for Latino founders. Why isn't there something for Asian founders? Well, now there is. I was sincerely hoping this would come to fruition, and I'm happy to report that now it has. Inspired by Pitch Black and Pitch Latino, we now have I Hope You Get Rich, a pitch competition for Asian and Asian American founders to share what they're building, what products they've created, and what companies they're trying to build here in the Portland area. That event will take place at Latino Founders on May 30th as part of Asian American and Pacific Islander History Month. Those tickets are going to go fast. So I encourage you to jump in there, RSVP if you can, to attend I Hope You Get Rich, a new pitch event in the tradition of Pitch Black and Pitch Latino. It's finally nice to see a venue and a format designed to celebrate all of the Asian and Asian American entrepreneurs in our midst. Speaking of events and my awful segues, I want to run through a few more that are happening next week. I want to make sure you know what's going on and you're attending the things and stuff and meeting the people. Of course, I talked about the April 8th. I talked about the other upcoming events, talked about the I Hope You Get Rich. But here are a few that are happening next week if you've got time to attend. I'm going to read them off to you so that you have them. Portland Digital Core, which if you'll remember is kind of the phoenix rising from the ashes of the demise of the unfortunate demise of 18F. That project, their informational session is occurring on Monday. Startup Coffee in the Couve happens on Tuesday. Rose City Techies have their book exchange on Wednesday. So if you have a book that you want to exchange for another book with some techie types in Portland, the Rose City Techies, who also are kind enough to support our Portland Startup Community Gathering events. So thank you very much. But they will be having their book exchange on Wednesday. And then, of course, Startup Cafe at the Hub. So it didn't happen today, but it will happen next Friday. And again, the folks at the Metro Region Innovation Hub, the hub of all innovation in Portland and the broader Portland metropolitan region, the hub, they're also helping with they're a partner, a very kindly contributing partner to the Portland Startup Community Gathering. So thanks to them for that help. I encourage you, if you haven't heard about the cafe at the Hub, it's basically open co-working for folks, coffee, free donuts, that kind of thing. But also they try and do some educational sessions. You don't have to participate in the educational sessions if you don't want to, but if they're of interest to you, those are going on too. So it's a multifaceted gathering there on the south end of the PSU campus in the new Propel PSU building that has since moved from the PSBA building that was down on Corbett. So I don't know, I'm giving you a geography lesson right now. But anyway, South End, right on the Max line, right near the streetcar. There's long-term parking there. They've got all kinds of those things. And so you can come hang out at their Startup Cafe, meet some people from the community, do a little co-working, eat a donut, drink some coffee, and maybe learn something. I don't know. Could be cool. What if I told you there was a new burger joint in Portland with its sights set on upending McDonald's? That's a pretty compelling proposition and a pretty, not insurmountable, but a pretty significant challenge to take on. But what if I also told you that they're a purely plant-based burger joint. That's right. You may have already heard of it. It's called Faceplant, but I wanted to highlight that Malia Spencer of the Portland Business Journal did a huge write-up on them on Friday of last week, so I didn't get a chance to catch it in the last recap. But I think it's really interesting. It's a serial founder, Matt Plitch, who had tried a previous company that gained some attention and some significant funding that was more focused on a neutral carbon milk brand that they were pursuing. Now he's taken over an old McDonald's and has created Faceplant, which is it's a good old fashioned burger joint. It's good food, great service for low prices. I mean, what's not to like about that? What do I mean by low prices? The basic burger is $3.99. The fancy version is $5.99. And then they've got the fries and the shakes and all that kind of stuff. They are just like swinging for the fences, and you don't see that very often in Portland. So I wanted to highlight it because these are some folks who are thinking big, who are thinking about trying to take down the juggernaut of the burger world with a plant-based brand. And they've got, just this initial setup in an old McDonald's on Swan Island. So I'm eager to try them. I'm going to try and swing by there soon to give it a taste, and I'll probably report back, not like on Report of the Week or whatever, but I will report back once I've had the chance to try Faceplant, and maybe I'll get some time to chat with Matt about what he's thinking and where he wants to go with this. But I did also want to touch on, I'm super psyched about what they're doing. I think it's really interesting. I think we've had any kind of like innovative burger plays from, the good old Burgerville to more lately like Super Deluxe. And so seeing this fully plant-based burger joint wanting to take down McDonald's, I got to keep an eye on that. And I also want to mention, trivial fun fact, for your next cocktail party where you would like to sprinkle interesting Portland startup trivia to the other guests and show how informed and insightful you are about the Portland startup community, Bread and Butter Ventures has invested in Faceplant. Why is that important? Well, the trivial connection here is Mary Grove, who is one of the co-founders of Bread and Butter Ventures, was the original kind of like contact point, account management point for my organization, Pi, in our initial collaboration with Google way back when, like 2011, something like way back there. 14, 15 years ago, I got to meet Mary while she was at Google. And unfortunately, somebody said, "Hey, Mary, you have to deal with these Pi folks." And she was super kind and super helpful. And, we got to take our startups down to the Googleplex and eat in the fancy cafeteria and do, a pitch event for Bay Area VCs and all these kind of things, all thanks to Mary and being so thoughtful and so engaged and so helpful for our Pi startups. So I will always be a huge fan, but I'm especially thankful that she and her firm have invested capital into this Portland pursuit and can't wait to see where it goes from here. Watch out, McDonald's. Okay, last thing before I let you go. This week, had the opportunity to gather in a very private, kind of intimate setting with a variety of people from the Portland startup community. There were founders there. There were, startup support organizations. There were VCs, both locally and from out of town. And it was really kind of one of those salons kind of gatherings, but under the Chatham House rules. So if you're not familiar with Chatham House rule, it basically says that you can extract and communicate things that were said or concepts and themes that came out in the conversation, but you can't identify who was actually there or who actually said what. And so it's designed, and this was almost unspoken, like we just all kind of got it, but it's really designed to give people the freedom to be as open as they possibly can and be as truthful as they possibly can without fear of public repercussion that may come from statements they made or things they've said or what have you. So I really appreciate that format. We used that kind of rule format for a lot of pie stuff like family dinner. So very near and dear to my heart. And just a really great conversation. And one of those opportunities, I always love the opportunities where I can just like sit back and listen to people chop it up and compare notes and say things, and where I just get to absorb and listen to what people have to say and listen to where they're struggling or where they see problems or where they see opportunities. And this was very much that kind of event for me. I was really humbled that I was invited and to be among that group of people, and I'm hopeful to see more of that activity happening. But what I wanted to share with you is just kind of some takeaways without like explicitly saying what people said. These are themes that, as I listened to people speak, these were themes that jumped out at me. And I have a much more spelled out, kind of deeper reference on the blog, and I'll link that up so that you can read that if you want to. But I thought I would just touch on these 4 kind of high level aspects, themes that came out loud and clear to me, so that you can think about them more and see if in fact they resonate with you, or if you have additional critique or other insights. I would love to hear those as well. So these are the 4 takeaways from this recent startup community gathering. First and foremost, there is I'm going to read these. First and foremost, there is a fundamental and pervasive ignorance of how the business of venture capital works. End of statement. There just is. We need to work on that. 2, founders aren't ready to hear what they need to hear until they're actually ready to hear it. But they're often more ready to hear it from other founders. And in the blog post, I kind of go into the analogy of it's like we were when we were kids. Like we'd be doing something stupid, and your parent or guardian would say, "Don't do that stupid thing. You're going to hurt yourself." And you're like, "We don't care. We're going to do the thing." And then we wind up getting hurt. Then we're like crying and our knees scraped or we got a bloody nose or whatever. And they're like, "See, I told you so." And founders are kind of like that. That's what that statement is about. Like, founders don't believe you until they go through the hardship and they're like, "Wait a second, you were right. That was really hard." And you're like, "Yeah, I told you." But anyway, go into more depth on the blog. Here's one that I don't think a lot of people recognize, but I believe to be true. Great founders are magnets for other great founders. So, associate with other great founders. They will both help lift you up, but also support you and be the people that you need to support you. So if you're a great founder, find other great founders to associate with and support one another. And then finally, one of my longtime favorites, always try and impart this to any startup I talk to. It's research, research, research. You always have time to do research. You should always make time to do research. I don't care what you're doing. Do the research. Don't just go off the cuff and fly by the seat of your pants. Do research on investors, on customers, on products, on competition, on the market, on the world, what have you. Get your research done. And again, I'll link up kind of the deeper dive, longer exposition on this whole thing, but I just wanted to share those 4 with you. And if there are other things you would like me to explore, please let me know. So that's it for this week. I hope you're hanging in there. I hope to see you April 8th. Please RSVP so we can get you in there at Irving Street Studio. Should be a good get together, and we'll look forward to seeing you there. But even if you can't make it, hope you're hanging in there. And until we get the chance to chat again, please keep up the good work.